Hi and welcome again. Welcome back to Mountain Aromatics. Today I'm going to go through my top 10 naturals, and it is very difficult, but because there's so many that I really like, but I cut it down to 10. Happens to be a lot of them are absolutes. So there's essential oils, absolutes, and CO2s, and that's just the way that they are processed, is the lack of a better term, but how they're extracted, how they're made, that type of thing. And so anyway, I think I actually put those a link to those definitions and how that is done in a different video. So in the show notes I will put what video that was. So anyway, here we go. Top 10 naturals for using or creating your own perfume, creating your own cologne, that kind of stuff. Looking over this, there is a blend of naturals that tend to be a little bit more masculine, and then there's some that tend to be a little bit more feminine, and just worked out that way, so that's good. The other thing I have to say is that I can't say like my number one, because it just was too difficult. Like some of them, I don't know. It's too difficult to do that because I like a lot of them equally. I'll start with, this is my number one absolute favorite. I always go back to it. It's Fir Balsam Absolute. I will tell you, hilarious, absolutely, it is the most difficult to work with if you are just purchasing 100% absolute and you get that home. It is beyond difficult to work with. You can see, I mean, it's still, there's sticky stuff all over. When you add water or soap, it actually makes it worse and becomes stickier. You have to use alcohol. Alcohol is the only thing that's going to make it dissolve and wipe away and wipe clean. But it will get on your fingers, and it will just, and then it's going to get on your hands, and then it's just it multiplies. But it is the most amazing smell I've ever smelled in my life. It's more than just going to the Fir Balsam tree and squeezing the needles and smelling that. It's way more than that. It is, I believe the fats, esters, waxes, all of that kind of stuff is still in here. So all of that is there, making it a fuller aroma rather than just the Fir Balsam essential oil, which a lot of the fats and that kind of stuff are extracted out and are not present. So it makes it a cleaner, simpler form in the essential oil. But this is just so full. It's like liquid Christmas tree, but rounded and full and so aromatic. You can wear it by itself. I absolutely recommend it, but I will tell you, working with everything that I've worked with, it is by far the most difficult one to work with if you are buying the Absolute at 100%. And typically you have to dilute it, and I'm finding that you can dilute it down to 30%, so 70% alcohol. I use alcohol because that's natural, and some people choose to use IPM, and you can use isopropyl myrcete as well, which is not a natural. So if you but you can do it. But if you want to stay with naturals, use alcohol with it. And just, it is Christmas tree in a bottle. It is, I can't state it enough, but crazy difficult. Liatrix is my second favorite. I kind of go back and forth with which one is my absolute favorite. It is not just a tobacco, but it's a very complex tobacco. It is super rich. It has some hay in it as well. Actually, let me go back and show you what it looks like. So this is how thick it is. See how dark and thick? That is the Fir Balsam. And then the Liatrix I did at a 20%. It is restricted. So if you go to the IFRA website, they can tell you more information. And please do that with all of these, because the restriction amounts change. I know that's weird, but they do. So you need to be up to date and be smart about that. So here's this, and see how it's very, very light. It's clear, but it is a really clean tobacco. Maybe you think tobacco may have a little smoky smell to it. It doesn't at all. It is very sophisticated is the word for this. A tiny bit of earthiness, but I have to put the word in there clean, because it is a very clean, earthiness to it. Tiny bit of honey. It's beautiful with florals. It's beautiful with any of the balsams and the pines and the conifers. I didn't know this, but whatever, I'm going to tell you anyway, because I'm going to embarrass myself. So the conifers, the difference between the pines and the conifers and the balsams, the conifers are the ones that produce cones, pine cones. So that's why they're in that category. I'm sure you knew that, but I didn't. And in case you didn't, there you go. So it also goes with a bunch of different types of woods. The Liatrix Absolute, I don't know, I find it goes with everything. So like the rose in the florals, but it also goes with the really heavy narcotic white florals. It goes with that as well. It goes with the ambers. Thinking about it, I don't know that there's anything that this does not go with. And then that leads me to the Tobacco Absolute. This one is the blonde. And unfortunately, I'm not finding it anymore. It was on creatingperfume.com, and I don't see it anymore. I see the regular Tobacco Absolute, but I don't see the Tobacco Blonde Absolute. I don't have the Tobacco Absolute, so I'm not sure the difference, like if it's a little darker or whatever, because this is a light hay, honey, sweet, rich, and I'll show you again what this looks like. This is it's a little bit more simple and not as complex as Liatrix. So if you need something just a little bit, I'm not going to say cleaner because they're both very clean, but a little bit simpler, you can go with the Tobacco Blonde. If you can get your hands on it. I hope so, because I barely have any, and I've diluted it because I barely got any. I diluted it down to 5%, which I think you can, if I had like the amount that I wanted, I would dilute it to a 20% and not necessarily a 5. I did a 5 so I could stretch it and make it go further. So it absolutely, every single thing I said that the Liatrix goes with, the tobacco will go with as well. It's just beautiful with florals. It's beautiful with the woods. It just adds a whole nother layer. In fact, I've done just a tobacco and a vanilla together, and that's it. It's insane. It's crazy. I did a tobacco and an agar wood or oud. I just did tobacco and oud together. Absolutely beautiful. Just crazy. It's good. So my next one is the Lavender Absolute. I wish this was smell-o-vision where you could, because I've done this with some people, I've taken the Lavender Absolute and I've had people smell it. This is what it looks like. Pretty dark, and this is at a 50%. But I've had them smell this and then smell lavender essential oil, and the difference is the lavender essential oil is very clean, straightforward, and this is full and rounded. You get the green part as well because that's what they use. They use the whole plant, and the fats, esters, all of that kind of stuff is still here, whereas in the essential oil, that stuff is taken out. So when you think essential oils and then absolutes, with an example, lavender, don't think I need to have one or the other. You absolutely need both because they're completely different. Their aroma profile is just totally different, and you just want both. And I didn't know that until I think one of my first absolutes was a Lavender Absolute, and I had no idea. Lavender essential oil is clear, and this just has all the stuff left in it because the way that it is extracted or made, processed, that kind of a thing. And this lavender goes with all the other things that you would normally do lavender with. It's beautiful with florals. It's amazing with wood. It's goes really well with amber, that kind of stuff. It's beautiful. The next one is Orange Blossom, and this one's an absolute as well. I think the reason, if you're like, why are they all absolutes that you love? You know what? I think the reason is because they're so full and well-rounded. It's absolutely beautiful. So it's obviously the orange blossom, the little flowers that blossom before they turn into an orange. So you're like, what's the difference between that and Neroli? Which I have. Neroli is one of my top 10 as well. So my understanding is that it's the same orange blossom, but when they take that, how they process it, they do something processed differently here than how they process it differently here. So it does smell different. To me, the orange blossom is more narcotic. I don't know if you know that term very well. It's it kind of means something specific in the perfumery world, and what narcotic is, meaning it's so heavy and I think full isn't necessarily the word, but you could use full, but so concentrated, and that some people just get sick and it's like a narcotic thing. But to me, that's in a good way. Here is what it looks like. drips pretty easy. This is at 5%. Again, I did it at 5% because I just don't have much. But in fact, I think the most that I would dilute this to would be 10%. Any of the really heavy, they tend to be the white petals, are really narcotic. Think jasmine as well, are incredibly heavy, and you can dilute it all the way down to 5 or 10%, and it is still super strong and will work perfect. I was talking about orange blossom. It's really delicate, but yeah, there's an orange peel bitterness to it, but it's not, I mean, it's still sweet and warm. It's absolutely beautiful. While I'm doing that, I might as well go ahead and smell this one and see the difference for you. So this is a little lighter, it's a little cleaner, it's still a really beautiful, heavy, heavy kind of a thing. So here's the difference, actually, what I wanted to get to. Sorry, I'm getting my thoughts together. So neroli is an essential oil. So the esters, those kinds of things that I was talking about, are taken out of here. Are taken out of here, and you're just left with a clear essential oil. So it's going to be a lot lighter and cleaner, and that's what neroli is. So this is just a little bit fuller. You use less of it. It could be diluted more, where my neroli, I diluted at 50%. You do not have to dilute neroli at all. I just don't have a lot of money, so I diluted it to 50% to make it last longer. And that's why. But you do not have to dilute your neroli essential oil. However, you do want to with your Orange Blossom Absolute. The next one is Frankincense CO2. Now you can get frankincense in a CO2, you can get Frankincense Absolute, and you can get frankincense, just the essential oil. So if you are doing aromatherapy, you want to use your essential oils. It's going to get a little complicated here, but it's kind of cool. So the bottom line is that essential oils have therapeutic value to them, aromatherapy. So when you breathe them in, it does have therapeutic value. Whereas CO2s and absolutes, they are made and created specifically for perfumery. The thing about that is that, you know, when I use this frankincense CO2 and I smell it, it's actually the same consistency as the essential oil. When I smell it, for me, it has a therapeutic value for me. Absolutely, it just does. So I'm just telling you, technically speaking, the CO2s and absolutes are for perfumery, and wherever you buy those, they're going to tell you this is not for a therapeutic purpose, so this is not for aromatherapy. You need to use essential oils, and it will say that in most places when you're buying these things. So I'm just letting you know that. But for me, it has a therapeutic value. This has so much therapeutic value for me, it's insane. I love it. It changes how I think, how I feel. It's phenomenal. All of these do, and most of them are CO2s and Absolutes. So that's my opinion. I will go on to the next one. The next one, I live in Colorado. Colorado Blue Spruce. It is absolutely what you would think of as a Christmas tree, like just the pine needles. That's what this is. So very clean, very, very fresh. Like when you've cut the Christmas tree and brought it into your house. That is what this is. This is just a fuller, the Fir Balsam obviously is a different tree, but this is fuller. It just, I don't know how to say. This is just cleaner, and not that that is dirty, because I don't mean it dirty. It's just fuller. This is the pure pine needle, and this is, I have a lot of different essential oils with spruces and firs and that kind of stuff, and this is, to me, the one that is the most Christmas tree like. Love it. Absolutely beautiful. So Black Spruce Absolute. Woo! It is absolutely amazing. See how dark that is? And it is similar to the Fir Balsam Absolute, but it's like, it has a dry fruit, a tiny bit of leather in it, a tiny bit of spice to it. It's sweet, it's fruity, it's balsamic, it's really complex. And again, if you like the Christmas tree type of aroma, this is a very full one. So mixing this, mixing the Colorado Spruce, mixing the Fir Balsam Absolute, you have Christmas in a bottle. It's absolutely amazing. Wow, it's crazy. So the Neroli, again, I diluted it. You do not have to. In fact, if you can afford not to, just don't, as you don't need to. But this one, a lot of times on the bottle, I will write where it's from, where it's sourced from, and this one's from Egypt. So a lot of times, though, you can get them from different countries, but typically there'll be one country where it's absolutely pristine and at its best, and Neroli is Egypt. It's pretty amazing. Again, very, very clean. Narcotic, goes beautiful with the florals. Neroli, to me, is one of those that I will put in a formula to help me sleep and or relax. It's beautiful, absolutely amazing. Then the last one I have is Hay Absolute. This one I have at a 10%. You definitely want to dilute it. It is, I'm not going to say it's super difficult to work with, but it does take a little bit of patience. It's not near as complicated or messy as the Fir Balsam Absolute, but it is really, really thick, and this is a 10%, and it will make your formula fluorescent green. Even one drop, if you have a small, I don't know, 2 ml or 4 ml formula, and you put a drop or so of these in there, it will end up being fluorescent green. Now, what you can do is, because you can, I don't know if you could tell, but some of these that are so dark, remember those particles, some of those small tiny particles, fats and esters are still in there. All you need to do is, when you are done with making not just your formula, but you've added your perfumer's alcohol or your IPM or whichever of those, you can take a small filter, think of now they have filters for like the Keurig, and they're paper filters that are round and small. You can take that, this is important, pour alcohol in there first, then pour your entire formula through there, and it will filter through, and it will take all the little particles and make it clearer. Sometimes it does it clear, and sometimes it does it clearer. But that is a way if you want to filter, and a lot of times, I think all the time that's what perfumers will do, so it's not cloudy. But that's an option for you to do. Just the important part is, instead of just pouring your formula straight onto the paper, you don't want to do that. Why? Because you're going to lose some of your formula. But if you put a few drops, or a number of drops to wet that paper first before you pour your stuff in there, you're not going to waste your formula, and it'll all drip through, and it should come out pretty clear. I just tell you that because using these absolutes, you may want to do that. You may not care, but if you want to give it as a gift or sell it or that kind of a thing, you definitely want to filter it, and that's an easy way to do it. So I hope you enjoyed my top 10 naturals. I just suggest you check these out. Some of these are available at Eden Botanicals, and some are available at creatingperfume.com, and then some are available at White Lotus Aromatics.com. So that is my take on it. I hope you enjoyed this, and on the next video I'm going to do another top 10, so look for it. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, and also if you like this, just click like. Thank you, and I will see you on the next Mountain Aromatics. Have a good day.